Building on Andy's contribution to the history of computing, we will now turn our focus to digital technologies of today, especially graphics for their innovation, application, and impact. Here to share the story of Andy's impact on his life, and in turn, his impact on others, is a former TA of Andy's. He's an Adobe Fellow, an Academy Award winner for the impact that After Effects has had on the film industry, and an Emmy Award winner for the impact that Adobe's character animation tool has had on broadcast. Please welcome Dave S.
Congratulations to Andy for receiving the Computer History Museum's Fellow Award. And thank you to the museum for this opportunity to share stories about Andy and his impact on me, the graphics industry, and the world at large. Andy was already a legendary professor in the computer science department at Brown University when I started there in 1986. I first got to know Andy as a teaching assistant for CS11, the introductory computer science class. TAing for Andy is not just a regular TA job. TAs for Andy also write and participate in educational skits. As the humor TA, one of my jobs was to extend the decades-long tradition of delivering a drink for Andy in a different way at the start of each class. This ranged from a simple bottle of water to a hollow pumpkin billowing dry ice vapor to a bottle of baby shampoo filled with apple juice, as another former TA recalled on the I Know Andy Van Dam Facebook group. The skits, while flamboyant, are not frivolous. Besides entertainment, they serve a larger purpose of bonding the TAs to each other and to the students. Andy has always been thoughtful about the community he creates, employing a diverse range of TAs to encourage balanced representation in computer science, especially for women. Andy connects with you, hard, literally. He's known for rib-crushing hugs. To further the connection, every year, he and his wife, Debbie, invite the TAs over for a delectable dinner. If Andy is involved, the food is sure to be top-notch. Eating out with Andy at his usual haunts often elicits a visit by the chef. There's a Japanese word for when the chef gets free rein to make your meal, omakase. Whenever possible, that's how Andy rolls. It's a nice parallel to how he treats his TAs. Give them power and trust them to do great things. I enjoyed working for Andy so much that I signed up to TA CS11 again the following year, and then, for my senior year, got the coveted/feared head TA job, along with David Herbstman and Sarah Allen. The job was extremely challenging, but with Andy's trust in us, we rose to that challenge. When you become head TA, the previous year's leaders pass down the head TA missive with details on how to run the class, along with helpful tidbits about working with Andy, including his 4 commandments. Thou shalt not power trip. Thou shalt not flake. Thou shalt be proactive, and thou shalt not assume. He usually followed that last one with the old adage of, when you assume, you make an ass out of you and me. Andy co-wrote the world standard computer science textbook called Computer Graphics Principles and Practice. When I asked a group of Adobe principal scientists about who had been influenced by Andy, I received a flood of responses, many noting that the book was currently within arm's reach or visible just a few steps away, as it has been for me for 3 decades. Bringing it back to my co-head TAs, after graduation in the spring of 1990, Dave H. and I founded a company with 2 other Brown grads, and Sarah joined us soon thereafter. We wanted to become a hypermedia publishing conglomerate, using everything we learned from Andy about hypertext. 2 years later, in our last-ditch effort to save the foundering company, we created a visual effects and motion graphics application called After Effects to ride what looked like a promising new wave of video production migrating to desktop computers. Skills learned in Andy's CS224 computer graphics class paved the way. We shipped version 1.0 in January 93 and found immediate success. After an acquisition by Aldus Corporation later that year and a merger with Adobe Systems in 94, it continued on as Adobe After Effects, which is still the leading motion graphics tool today. After Effects would not have existed without Andy's role in gathering and training us. In addition to Sarah, Dave H., and me, many other Andy-trained developers have worked on After Effects, including Dan Wilk, Michael Natkin, Scott Snibbe, and Dave Sklar. If you follow the thread of Andy's influence to the next level, the countless projects that have been created using After Effects are inescapable if you watch TV or movies. Add in Sarah's role in creating Flash's RTMP video streaming on the web. then add in Andy's impact on Pixar and include all of their audiences. It's not possible to enumerate all the examples of Andy's students changing the world, but it's fair to say that Andy has impacted the vast majority of humans on this planet. Even the After Effects rendered motion graphics that the Computer History Museum produced for this event were possible because of Andy. Before I finish up, I'll just note that it did cross my mind that, as the missive warned, I shouldn't assume that Andy will like this tribute. But to keep it a surprise for him, he is seeing it right now for the first time. One thing I can count on: if he doesn't like it, he'll tell me. Honoring Andy as a Computer History Museum Fellow feels exactly right to me. I can't think of anyone I know who has positively affected more people. Andy, thank you for everything you have done for me, for computer graphics, and for the world.
So now what do you say? Let's go back and check in on Gio and Estella and share how their graphical works have evolved. First, let's go see what Gio has created. Wow, he has come such a long way with his sculpture. And now it's in a completely different environment. This is cool. Now, let's check in on Estella. It's so incredible to see these creations are taking shape. It's so beautiful, and they're doing it so fast, but time is ticking. Probably should mention that both Gio and Estella told us that with a little bit more time, they would have been able to add so much more detail. But I think you'll agree that what we're seeing after just 20 minutes is pretty amazing. Okay, now we're just about ready to wrap it up. So add your final touches. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1, time's up. Wow, those 20 minutes really flew by. So now I want to give our artists a chance to describe what they just created. So Gio, let's start with you. How about you tell us about your piece and how for you it is a manifestation of the CHM vision?
Thank you. So as I was sculpting this piece, in my head I was thinking of the orb symbolizing Earth, and the figure obviously symbolizing humanity, as humanity is holding on protectively onto the orb, and the ring around the figure with the blue light. In my head, I was thinking about it as it could symbolize technology, the circulation of technology, and how it flows through us and through the planet, and how we take care of it. So you know, it was a fun 20 minutes to come up with this idea, but yeah, I had fun and I'm fairly happy with it. So.
That's fabulous. Thank you, Gio, for creating such a beautiful sculpture. So now It's your turn, Estella, to tell us about your painting and how you approached the challenge. Share with us what you were thinking about.
Thank you. So I painted a lotus. It's symbolic of kind of optimism and hope in a dark time. I think a lot about this era in humanity right now where we're all struggling and all affected by a global pandemic. And how will we come out from this era? And what do we do about climate change? What are we doing in terms of taking care of each other as human beings? So these are a lot of things that have been on my mind since early 2020, as we all have been faced with such trying times. And the lotus is something that came to mind for me as it's a flower that grows in muddy waters. It's something that thrives in darkness. And I just love that analogy. And I think about how we as people are coming together and helping each other. And I believe that technology can really help humanity as well. I think that technology can be helpful for the environment and climate change. I think there's a major role in that. I've been learning a lot about plants and botany, and it's been something that's been at the forefront of my mind. So I believe the integration of technology, humanity, and nature can come together to really help resolve a lot of the problems that we have right now. And that's the future that I want to create in this world.
Well, Estella, that was fantastic to watch you paint, and thank you for your stunning piece. And I want to thank both of you for being part of tonight's program.